Welcome. Generating sequence. You're listening to
We'll take a glance in the world of gaming in our gaming points of interest. Children playing violent games, is it an issue? And gaming headsets, why you need one. Hello gamers and welcome back to the Dencast, where we talk all things gaming from right here in the Den in Melbourne, Australia, where it's getting a little bit cold at the moment. My name is Anthony D and thank you so much for joining me again. And if it is your first time here, welcome. And just want to get some housekeeping out of the way actually. If you do want to get in touch with me, at the Dencast on Twitter, or you can email thedencastshow@gmail.com. As I really do love getting the tweets and emails I'm getting from you guys and girls at the moment, because I can talk gaming all day and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for getting in touch and asking your questions or throwing some pointers out at me, as I love the conversation. So let's keep it going. And also, wherever you're listening to this show, if you don't mind throwing in a quick review, you can vote it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. 5 stars are for free. 1 star, I may charge a fee in the future. We'll see how we go. But I will appreciate that as well, as I do read all the reviews, and I really appreciate the feedback I've been getting at this stage. Without further ado, let's get stuck into the gaming points of interest of what's been happening around the traps at the moment. Fortnite will be getting a new mode called Playground. It is a limited time mode that will give you more time to roam around the map than what you're probably getting at the moment in the Battle Royale. It will apparently have more resources around, so more guns, more chests and ammo and things like that. Friendly fire will be on, and there will be an immediate respawn, which is interesting. Sticking to Fortnite, also gets its first vehicle, which is shopping carts, so you can push your friend around a shopping cart at the moment. But funnily enough, this was another interesting thing I read. Some people want Fortnite banned for brainwashing loved ones, because apparently people are playing it too much, and their boyfriends or girlfriends of these people are getting quite annoyed that this is happening, and they want to get the time back from their partners. So that's pretty funny. I guess when you're one of the best games going around at the moment, that's always going to happen. And sticking with Fortnite, according to IGN, Fortnite is allegedly coming to the Nintendo Switch, for all you Nintendo Switch owners. Now, that is a rumor. I'm not really a fan of rumor and innuendo, but since it was all Fortnite at the start of this points of interest, I thought I'd throw that in there as well. So as of this recording, that is yet to be confirmed, but something to look forward to potentially for you Nintendo Switch owners. God of War has now sold over 5 million copies in the first month of its release. So I know I've heard some great things about that game. I haven't played it yet, but a lot of people are telling me to jump on. So 5 million copies in the first month is definitely a good start. Steam Link, which we spoke about in episode 1, is now it was out on Android and it still is only on Android because Apple has blocked it from the App Store. Typical Apple. Apparently, it's according to something that Apple made public, Apple revoked its approval citing business conflicts with app guidelines that had allegedly not been realised by the original review team. So there's Apple at it again. The PS1 Classic could be the retro console that fills time before the PS5 lands. So there is a rumour that the PS5 won't be out for another 2 or 3 years. So I guess they're going to bring out the PS1 Classic and hopefully people sort of play that for a few years and like it said, fill the gap and for that PS5. PUBG developer admits it has fallen short on performance improvements, according to a PC Gamer article I came across. Performance, I play a bit of PUBG and, from time to time it does get a bit frustrating. So the developer has apparently come out and, put their hand up and said, yep, we could be doing better. So fingers crossed things get done there. Sticking to PUBG, the PUBG developer sues Fortnite studio for copyright infringement in Korea. A Korea-based PUBG Corp is suing Epic in relation to copying PUBG. Now, I don't know too much details on that, but apparently they're thinking that Fortnite has copied them with this whole Battle Royale type of game that they've made, and PUBG aren't happy about it. So it's all PUBG and Fortnite at the moment. Battle Royale is really just taking the lead big time. Ahead of its October release, Battlefield 5 minimum system requirements revealed, and those requirements are the following as published on the Origin store. I'll go through them quickly. The OS, a 64-bit Windows 7, Windows 8.1 and Windows 10, a processor AMD FX 6350 or an Core i5 6600K, that's the Intel one there. 8 gig of RAM, graphics card, an AMD Radeon HD 7850, 2 gigabyte with that one, or a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 660, 2 gigabyte. DirectX 11 compatible video card or equivalent. Online connection requirements will be a 512 kbps or faster connection. Hard drive space 50 gig. So that's what we know about the new Battlefield game at the moment. If you can run Battlefield 1 pretty well, then chances are the new one shouldn't be a problem. Nintendo promises another core Pokemon game for Switch in 2019 with the release of the one that's just come out now. There will be a new core game coming out next year, according to Nintendo. Xbox 360 gets its first system update since March 2016. So for all you old 360 owners who probably haven't touched it for a little while, turn it back on because you can get a patch update for it. That's been nearly over 2 years since you guys have got an update. So turn them on and update it, and I don't know, then you can put it away again. Active Shooter, a game that was on Steam. So this was basically a school shooting game that has been removed from Steam following outrage. Steam have also banned the developer as well. So they've banned the game and the developer. It was a game that you basically, I believe, I don't know much about it, but you were in charge of a school shooting, which is totally pathetic. I don't even know how it actually made Steam to begin with, but saying that, the developer and the game are now gone, which is good. Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics now have VR and multiplayer support. So even VR is coming to the old classic consoles apparently. So for all you Mega Drive and Genesis Classic owners, VR and multiplayer. And finally, Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 loses Borussia Dortmund ahead of launch. So Pro Evolution Soccer, I know in the points of interest, I think 1 or 2 episodes ago, I did go through some new leagues that they were adding on, but they're still having trouble with keeping these licenses for individual teams, and there's another one to drop out. So not good news for the PES 2019 game that's coming out, and all you fans out there. That there pretty much sums up the gaming points of interest, but we will keep our eye out more, on what's happening around the traps. Children playing violent video games. Now, before I really get into this, I just want to put a little disclaimer. I am not running these podcasts to get political or, giving my strong opinion on things and trying to force people to think like I do or anything like that. So I just want to bring different aspects to gaming, and this is one that definitely comes up from time to time. So this isn't going to be my opinion. This is going to, this whole little chat I'm going to have now might sound like I'm going to sway for and against because I don't want to give my opinion on it. I just want to sort of form some of the, I'm not going to say facts, but some of the opinions that I've got out there and just bring it to all your attention, and you guys can form your own opinion on it and get in touch with me on those Twitter and email accounts that I spoke about earlier, because I'd love to hear all your thoughts on it. But yeah, little disclaimer here, I'm not going to really try and push you guys into thinking one way or another or tell you guys how to parent. But in terms of this, we're looking at children probably aged 12 years and under. and probably going to stick with games like Fortnite and Call of Duty. These, real gun-orientated sort of games. I had an interesting conversation with a bunch of school teachers at a party a couple of weeks back, and this sort of came up. And in the whole conversation and how it went on, I thought this would be really interesting to talk about in the podcast and get people's opinions on. So at the end of the day, what is Call of Duty and Fortnite really about for these kids? So the game is, it's survival by killing. You essentially got to hunt down and kill the opposition, whether it's in Fortnite and be the last one standing, or in Call of Duty and just keep killing and killing and killing until the game finishes. So it's all about like war style combat. Things that, if it really was in a real day, real life scenario, clearly not something that, is in the norm, and nobody wants to be in that position ever. Now, why do we not want children to be playing these games? I guess because it could normalize aggression in terms of the style of gameplay and what you're trying to achieve. So, if a 5-year-old's playing these games, it might normalize it to them that this is okay to do what you're doing in these games, and obviously not teaching them that it's okay just to go grab a gun and start shooting at someone. But the whole way these games are, and in survival and the things you have to do, you probably could be normalizing aggression. You're also normalizing, I guess, a competitive aggression, and what I mean by that is, like, if you compare it to like a soccer game, right? So say two kids are playing FIFA, and one scores a goal and then the other one gets a bit upset, and he or she just wants to try and kick another goal to either tie the game or then try and win the game. Where in Call of Duty, if you get shot and killed by somebody, then you want to try and beat that person. So the aim of the game is to find that gun or better gun or whatever it is and hunt them down and kill them, essentially, in the gaming sense. So, you've got that aspect in things. It also exposes them to themes that are beyond their ability to understand, in thinking that these themes are okay. So, like how would a 7-year-old determine what is real and what is fake? I guess the best example I could have of that is when I was a child, and I loved watching horror movies. So I would watch these movies and I knew they were fake. I knew it was a movie. But come night time when I go to bed, I would end up in my parents' bed because I was just that petrified of what I'd seen. So I guess, can we marry that up to a gaming sense? It's fun to play. If I can try and put myself in a 5-year-old's head again, it's fun to play. But, come night time, maybe when, the old Crime Stopper ad comes on TV, are these all going to play in my head with what I experience in a gaming sense? Will that make me panic and think, Jesus, can that happen to me or my family? Now, as a child, that can be really, really scary. Another thing is children start to learn all these types of guns and the power of these guns. Like when I was a kid, I had no idea what an AK-47 was, a double action pump shotgun, or an M16 or A4 or whatever they are. Even now, see, I'm struggling. I don't even know them. But, you might talk to some of these 6-7-year-olds and they'll just be rambling these guns off like it's nothing. And they'll even, learn these terms like the headshot and etc. and things like that, and where the hotspots are for a quick kill, Again, when I was under 10 or under 12, if someone said, where would be the quickest point I could shoot someone down, I would look at them thinking, I got no idea, the heart maybe, just as probably the simplest kid answer. So yeah, definitely something to think about there. These are all the points that were coming up when we were having this conversation with these teachers, because obviously a lot of these kids are, going to school talking about Fortnite and things like that. But then you've got the other end of it. I know these days, it's probably more of a gaming thing, but, when our parents or our grandparents were younger, there was, say, like Looney Tunes cartoons and with Bugs Bunny and all that. And these cartoons were very violent too. And these are the cartoons that they were watching when they were kids. So, do they maybe forget about that they were sort of exposed to that gun violence and Elmer Fudd always aiming his gun at Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck, and there were shots fired consistently. Do us as parents or grandparents forget about that we were exposed to that as children, and 99% of us turned out okay? So this is just, the gaming and Call of Duty and Fortnite, that's sort of our modern day Looney Tunes in a way. A lot more interactive, because you're physically playing it. But in terms of violence and guns and things like that, is it similar? And even taking the violence out of the equation, let's look at it let's pretend a child can distinguish, what is a game and what is reality. So if this 5-year-old's playing Fortnite and Call of Duty, let's pretend he or she, fully understands, this is only a game and it ends when I turn this PC or console off. What are the positives out of it? There's multitasking, quick thinking, exercise for the brain. I play plenty of Fortnite games, and in the chat you can hear there are sometimes you might end up in a lobby with not so much Fortnite, Call of Duty. You might end up in a lobby with with people of all ages, so you can tell when they're children and they're young. And a lot of the times they're a lot better than I am in the game. And that's my point. Like they learn to multitask, and their brain is clicking that fast. I think there is a positive there in the real world, for them to sort of figure things out a lot faster, than other people. If you're sort of trying to get the point that I'm trying to make. Or in Fortnite, I'll play with friends, and there might be only me and two other friends, and one guy might get his younger cousin to play or something like that. That's happened to me a few times, and this person is only a young child in primary school. Again, a lot better player than us. This child will build like it's going out of fashion and get those little kills on the game, and it's like, how are you doing that? And again, it's just teaching them to multitask and think that quickly. That that I think that's great practice for school. And I know again, I'm not trying to say shooting is in the game. It's more I'm more talking about the it's Call of Duty and Fortnite aren't just like run, shoot, kill. There is a lot more other things you've got to think about and do. And this is the point I'm trying to make. Not so much about not about killing at all. Actually, it's just more about the multitasking aspect of it. Call of Duty has strategy, team-based games, and I guess it could teach a child, team, how to work in a team, and mateship. So you got team deathmatch, or there's other games that aren't so sort of crazy like team deathmatch. That it's more tactical based, and again, it can teach them to be that teammate and do that thing what that teammate needs to do or be in that point in time, instead of just running and doing whatever they want. And I guess that the other thing is too that all these games are cartoony. Fortnite is very cartoony. Call of Duty, I guess, goes for a bit more realistic, graphic-y look. But at the end of the day, we all know when we're looking at a computer game or a real life, looking type of scenario. So there's that aspect too. So, I'll wrap it up there because, and you could clearly see by that little topic there that we just spoke about. I definitely gave, what can I say, it's like a strong stance on probably why children should not play these games. But then on the other end, there was a stance on why they maybe should play these games. I've got 2 young children myself, not old enough to be playing games at all yet because they're just too little. And when the time comes for them to, when they start saying, Dad, I want to play Black Ops 5, I don't know. I actually can't even answer whether I would or would not be comfortable with that. But I can definitely see why people would not be comfortable with it, 100%. But on the other end, I can also understand why people may be okay with their children playing these games, within that reason as well. So definitely some food for thought. I'd love to hear your opinion on that topic. I know, it's pushing it a little bit. I didn't want to make this a whole, serious political type of podcast, but, definitely something worth thinking of for all you parents out there. Now, gaming headsets. Why I think you should have them. Gaming headsets, wow. I remember the first time I played with a gaming headset and it just blew me away, which I'll get into a bit later. I just always used to play with the TV volume. But positives for gaming headsets, team communication. All gaming headsets these days have microphones built into them. A lot more easier when you're playing team-based orientated games, clearly, because you can speak to your teammates. Headsets versus speakers. Well, headsets are a lot more, and this is back to what I was just saying 2 seconds ago, because the headset's sitting right on your ear, you do get that big wham of sound a lot better, I believe, than even if you had a 7.1 surround sound speaker setup. Clearly it will sound great, no worries there. But you'll have to have it pretty loud to really get that impact, where with a headset, it's right at your ears. And even though you get that 7.1 virtual surround sound, you could be jamming it in your ears and the rest of the house could be asleep and they wouldn't know the better. And in your ears, you're literally in the game. That's how good they are and why I think a headset always beats speakers. Unless you live alone and you don't really care, then with that surround sound setup you've got, jam it, and it would probably most likely be just as good as a headset. But if you do live, like most of us, in a household with at least one other person, and you need to respect them maybe at a night time when they're watching TV or doing whatever they're doing or sleeping, a headset is definitely going to get the job done at a really loud and excellent clarity and quality of volume, and anyone else wouldn't be disturbed at all. It also limits disturbances and distractions, and what I mean by that is because they're in your ears and the noise is right there, you can't hear too much of what's going on around you. So take that as a positive or negative. If your mum, dad, brother or sister, wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend are going to be calling you for some reason of emergency, and you're probably not going to be able to hear them because you've got the headset, that can be a bad situation. But most of the time, there are general things that go on around the house as well. Like I said, if somebody's watching TV or anything like that, the headset will definitely drown that noise out, and it will keep you immersed in your game. And I think it also improves the overall gaming performance. And even like little things like just you hear a lot better. So if you're playing a game like a first-person shooter, you will hear that person running around that corner long before that person gets to that corner. So you'll already be that 3 seconds ahead. It is even that accurate that if you can just quickly imagine you're running down, say, a corridor and you're heading to a T intersection. So you can either go left or right. And let's pretend there's another player that's coming in your direction. You will actually know, if you listen close enough, you'll know whether that person's coming from the left corridor or the right corridor. Again, which will give you a significant advantage if you had to get that first or second shot in. Definitely, you'll get that advantage, and a good gaming headset will allow you to hear that. Gaming headsets do come wired or wireless. I have had both. I'm now a big fan of a wireless headset because I just don't like them, just sort of over cables. But there's really no right or wrong way. All headsets these days are made to give great sound. So I guess it's user preference, or even up to, even what you want to spend could distinguish whether it's a wired or wireless. But you do have the option with both. I'll just let you know what headsets I've actually owned, because I've owned a few now. The first ever headset I got was the Astro A30s. The Astro A30s, when I first put them on, I was like, wow. I remember I was searching gaming headsets, never ever, other than just a cheap pair of headphones I use, and I used to plug them in the headphone jack in the TV, which still sounded okay, because like I said, the sound's directly in your ears. But I remember I was searching gaming headsets and I was on the Astro site and I brought these Astro A30s, and when I got them, I was like, wow, these things destroy your ears in a good way. They're not over earmuffs, but they're not in ear either. They kind of sit on your ear, if that makes sense, but it was still comfortable. Now these ones, they were wired, and you had to plug in them to a little amp, what they called a mix amp, and then the digital optic cable would run from that to the PlayStation 4, which would allow you to get that 5.1 virtual surround sound. But man, these things would rock. I remember playing Modern Warfare 2 and I literally felt like I was in the war zone. And then I upgraded a few years later to the Astro A40s, which I think was 7.1 surround sound, but the same setup. They were wired to the mix amp to the PS4. And again, but these things were more over the ear, so they covered your whole ear. But they were great too, comfortable, good sounding. Really good for competitive gameplay. But unfortunately, the microphone kind of cacked itself, so I had to end up getting another headset, which I thought I'll take the opportunity to then get a wireless headset, because I was over having to set these up all the time and having these cables running around all over the place. So I got myself the Turtle Beach Earforce Stealth 700 wireless headset. So that works with, there's a digital optic cable to a USB dongle, and then obviously that allows the headset to pick up the sound from the dongle and gives me a virtual 7.1 surround sound. Now this headset I'd say would be like a mid-range one, definitely nowhere near as expensive as the Astros, but not as cheap as as $100 headset. I think these were around the $250 Australian mark or thereabouts. But saying that, I believe they sound awesome. I've got no problem with them whatsoever. I think they sound just as good as my A40s, and there'll be plenty of you out there that will disagree with me with that. But to me, they still give that great surround sound quality that I want in gaming and really immerses me in the game that I'm playing. So definitely worth getting a gaming headset if you do not own one. If you're going to take anything from this podcast today, if you do not own a gaming headset, please get out and buy one, because you will not regret it. Whether it's a cheaper one or if you've got the money and you get a more higher end one, I think no matter which way you go about it, you're going to love the experience you're going to have with a gaming headset. So with saying all that, I think that brings us to the end of another podcast. I do apologise as it did get a little bit serious there for a bit. But like I said, with this podcast, I want to talk about all things gaming. So I will do these little on the side topics from time to time, because I don't want to be Mr. Generic and just talk about this game and that game and review that game and this and that. I do want to sort of give out topics and opinions from all over the world of gaming, and that's definitely one of them. So thank you so much for listening again, and again, if it's your first time, welcome, and I do hope to see you again here at the Dencast. Thank you so much for listening at the Dencast on Twitter, the Dencast Show at gmail.com. I do live stream on Twitch, the Dencast, all one word. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for listening again, and I'll see you next time at the Dencast. Bye for now.